Good morning and welcome to Coffee Ann, the longest-running panel discussion show in American radio. To make a comment or ask a question of the panel, call 401-766-1240 or email coffee@woonsocket.radio.com. And now, let's join the Coffee Ann panel.
Good morning to you. It is Coffee Ann time on ON, AM, and FM. Thanks for joining us on Thursday morning. It's April 25th. And I'm Joe Callahan, and at the Coffee Ann table, we'll say good morning to Bob Lauder. Hi, Bob.
Good morning. Good to be with you.
Nice to have you here. Sue Tessie McKenzie is here. Hi, Sue.
Good morning.
Nice to have the both of you here as well. And so, Bob, you were one of our vendors at the Senior Resource Fair last Saturday. Did you enjoy yourself?
Yes, I did. It was a really well-presented program. I hadn't been to one before. You guys did a good job. Yes.
Well, thanks.
We had a lot of people there, like 18 different tables. I met some really nice people. It was a lot of fun.
They sat down at your table and...
Yep.
They were there. Some were there for 15, 20 minutes.
That's fine. Good to talk to people.
With Bob. They were throwing out questions, and Bob was giving back answers. So it worked out well for you all the way around.
It was a lot of fun.
All right, great. And then Bob gave me candy afterwards.
Bob was trying to get rid of that candy when we were there, too.
Looks like
Not getting rid of the candy. I shouldn't say it that way. They were real candy bars.
Well, yeah.
They weren't, like just hard candy that he didn't want. They were real chocolate.
They were.
Yep.
Reese's, Kit Kats.
Yeah,
York
exactly. I was just going to say
Almond
York
Joys.
peppermint patties.
I wasn't allowed to take them home.
And my wife loves coconut,
Oh.
and the peppermint. So those are, I stay away from those two. But the Reese's, that's for me.
So one of the booths had these cute little cardboard houses. They were adorable.
Yes.
So I was like, oh, look, those are so cute. I thought they might be stupid or whatever, little banks, you know?
Yep.
And
there's
she's
candy
like,
in it,
oh,
right?
no, take one. There's candy in them. So again, I'm thinking, the hard candy mix, whatever, which would have been fine. But no, they had those little chocolate bars,
Chocolates,
the little
yeah.
Hershey's
The
and Mr.
miniatures,
Goodbar and
yeah.
the crackles. Oh, yeah.
Yum, yum.
Yeah, it was a great time.
All right, glad it went well. So we're going to throw a good law question at you now, Bob.
I'm hunkering down. What is this one?
So it's got to do with the Karen Reed case that's up in Massachusetts, and I know it's Massachusetts and not Rhode Island. So if you
And I
can't
haven't
speak
followed
to it,
that at all. So.
well, it hasn't started yet.
Okay.
We've had jury selection, and we're all set there. And opening arguments are on Monday. And you explained to me, I said, because I've asked before, I said, well, if they've had the jury selection, why are we waiting another week for opening arguments? And they say, well, the judge has other cases to hear. Oh, well, okay, that makes sense. But the question for you now is, they've got 19 people that have been seated for the jury. Now, obviously, it's only 12 will sit.
Right.
Why are there so many alternates?
They-
And does that who decides how many alternates there'll be? Do you know?
In Rhode Island,
Yeah, okay.
the reason they have so many is probably because they expect that some are going to fall out along the way. As you saw in the trial with former President Trump down in New York, they didn't have a hearing on Tuesday afternoon, I believe, because one of the jurors had to go to the dentist, and I think that was on an emergency basis.
Really?
Now,
Okay.
if someone had had a more serious medical problem during the course of the trial, they want to be able to say, okay, that person can leave, and we still have enough jurors left in the pool, so we have the full 12 for the trial itself. And it was my recollection the last time I did a civil trial, and I don't do criminal work, that the selection of the juries in Rhode Island was by, I thought it was by a ballot at the end of the trial. And so that all of the jurors would be paying equal amount of attention, and they wouldn't have one juror sitting there thinking, well, I'm not really going to have to pay attention because I'm an alternate and my chances of being called for jury for being part of the 12 is pretty low.
But the question is, usually it's 12 on the jury, and usually 4 alternates.
That's what I've seen in
Here
Rhode
in,
Island.
okay, here in Mass, they bumped it up another 3.
They may think that the length of the trial means that there's more opportunity for something to happen to one of the jurors and have to have it replaced. Yeah.
Okay, all right. Well, we'll see what happens when the opening arguments start on Monday. This one's fascinating, and well, to me it is.
I've got to start reading up on that one. I've seen a little bit on television, but that's about it.
Well, she says the prosecuting says she ran over him the Boston cop with the SUV on a snowy night in 2022 and killed him. And she says, no, I dropped him off at that house in Canton. And the defense says he was beat up by people inside the house who dumped him out in the front lawn. And right now, of course, the facts all haven't been presented in case, but right now the defense is saying his injuries are more in line with getting beat up and not getting hit by a car. So I'm like,
See what happens.
So there should be. I remember a show that was really good. I'm sure you must have seen this, Bob. My Cousin Vinny.
Yes.
Okay.
that's a great movie.
So with the gum snapping sassy one saying,
Yeah.
well, the tire tracks and the track and the ratio and all of this. So if he got run over, right?
Yeah.
That's gonna
Well,
not necessarily tracks, but
I don't think there are any because it was snowing that night. So it would have ran over in the snow, which has now melted away.
I mean,
So
on
there's
his
nothing in the road.
body.
Well, you would think so. You would think
Right.
that they might, or he just got hit. I don't know if he got run over.
Oh, okay.
So maybe just hit like the front of the car, and then she drove away. At least that's what the prosecuting is saying. But it's all going to be presented in court, right, Bob? And we go from there.
Yes.
And now I work. I have a part-time job up in Worcester with the Worcester Red Sox, and I'm
Wait
there.
a minute. Wait. You work with the team that left, and you
Yes.
tell us that?
Yes.
What do you think about that, Sue? There's a guy who's, walking on less than thin ice, and it's
Well,
not water.
there are a few people that are there that,
We transitioned up.
yeah.
Transition.
Anyway,
Okay,
the point
sorry.
was,
Yes.
while I
Yeah,
was-
moral of the story is,
while I was up there one time last week, didn't I see someone walking around with a free Karen Reed T-shirt on?
really.
I'm like, wow, made it all the way out here. So yeah, there's supporters all over the state
Wait a
for
minute,
her.
is it a free T-shirt or
No. He was wearing
It
a
says
shirt
free
that
on
said "Free
rats?
Karen Reed."
I thought
Yeah.
they were just giving away free T-shirts. I'd
No.
travel to Worcester
With
for
Karen
that.
Reed's name on them.
They weren't giving him away; he was wearing it.
Rats.
So she's got her supporters. And that's why they got to have a buffer. The judges ordered a buffer zone at the courthouse.
Okay.
Protesters are going to stand back, not that it's that far, 200 feet back, so the people can get in and out of the courtroom. Oh, and the defense came up with this one, because I don't know if you've ever been to the Dedham Courthouse, Dedham, Massachusetts. It's an old building.
Once,
Back
many years ago.
1700. I mean, this is really old. Anyway, the defense is saying that some of the jurors, because of the way the courtroom is configured, won't be able to see the people testifying.
Oh,
And he wants it, I'm not sure how many she's got, they want it moved to another courthouse. And I don't know where that's going. I haven't heard anything.
that would make a whole lot of sense because I think jurors should be able to actually see and observe
See
each
and
one
hear.
of the people who is testifying.
Yeah.
Yes.
So that was their latest claim, is that, I don't know if it was just a diversionary tactic or just let's stretch this thing out as much as we can, and the judge will say, no, everything's fine.
Wow.
I don't know. So
So
but
now
I did hear him say that.
where do lie detectors come into play with let's just pick that case.
I would think that, first of all, you would have to have had the defendant voluntarily agree to be subject to a lie detector test.
But I mean, is it
It's not
something that they
you can
would have
compel.
inquired about, like from the get-go? Like, look, why don't we just take a lie detector test and eliminate that part of the equation? I mean,
Well,
is that something
just
they
as
would do?
a defendant doesn't have to provide any testimony against themselves
Okay.
and has the right to remain silent, I would believe that a defendant would have the right to deny taking a lie
Oh,
detector
absolutely.
test, and that would not be something that you could necessarily bring up before the jury.
Not before the jury, but prior to getting to all of that. Before there's even going to be a trial, before everything, I'm basically asking when would a possible lie detector test come into question? Like, would they question a defendant before anything? Would they? I mean, no court. We're not
defendant-
in court now.
A defendant doesn't have to speak at all. As you watch on television, you
Right.
see the Miranda rights, you have
Yeah.
the right to remain silent. So if a defendant was arrested and brought into the police station for interrogation and sits there and says, I don't want to say anything. And they say, do you want to take a lie detector test? And the defendant says, no, I'm not
So
going to take a lie
that's when they
detector
would
test.
do it. That's
Well,
when-
that may be part of when they would do it.
Okay.
But thereafter, unless there was some very strong evidence on the part of the defense that would make it seem that taking a lie detector test was not going to be some type of a challenge for
Then
them,
yeah.
then I would suspect that it would never come up. No.
Okay.
And
Yeah,
I can't
I was
really
just curious
imagine-
about that, when or if they would even address the potential for a lie detector test.
I can't imagine a defendant seeking a lie detector test because no matter how strong the defense may be, there's always the possibility that lie detector tests are not infallible.
No, they're not.
There can be things
They're
go
not.
wrong, and a lie detector test might indicate that the defendant was not telling the truth. I don't think a defense attorney would subject a defendant to that kind of situation very often.
Yeah. Well, that's what I didn't know, because you see it on TV a lot, and and understanding that different things can skew the results.
Right.
It can be stress. It can be, a number of things. But where it's so like, he got beat up, no, you ran him over, that is like,
I know it's apples and oranges.
and it's a huge, difference. It's not, a simple thing. And that's why I say I didn't know if that's something that whoever, I don't know, defendant, prosecution, the person being charged would say, hey, look, I'll take a lie detector test. Whereas what you're saying is potentially the lawyer would step in and say, no, I don't recommend that.
I would not recommend it because I think that because of the fact that lie detector tests can be wrong, if it was wrong and my client was innocent and not guilty of this, I wouldn't want to provide the prosecution with anything that could attempt to.
Now, aren't they inadmissible in court anyway because of that?
I always thought so.
I did too.
I really don't know.
That you can't say, "Oh, they took a lie detector test
Oh, you
and
can't.
they failed,"
Right.
but you can't bring that up during a trial
I have
because
not done
they're
it.
infallible.
I haven't done a criminal one in so many years,
Yeah.
and it
Yeah,
never
look
came
into
up.
that. I'm curious about that.
Okay.
All right. Well, that court case is going to start up. Supposed to start up on Monday. We'll see where it goes from there. Back here, closer to home, here in the city of Woonsocket, the Landmark Cancer Center opened up on the campus of the Landmark Medical Center. They had a ribbon cutting. Nice pictures in the Blackstone Valley Call-in Times of this, of their new treatment rooms. They did relocate it to North Smithfield, but now it's back in Woonsocket. And the move brings the cancer center just across the street from the hospital, making it more convenient for patients. So it's not actually in the hospital on Cass Ave. Go across the street.
Does it explain
over
what goes on in the cancer center? Is this
It's where people get their treatments, get their
Chemo.
chemotherapy.
okay? But it's not an
radiation.
overnight part of the facility.
No,
Okay.
nope, nope. You just get your chemotherapy there, and you go home when you're done.
Great.
And they say it's a little more convenient for the people, and they've decorated it real nice. And
Does it
the
say
cancer
where?
center features a lab, pharmacy, and 15 treatment rooms.
Does it say where in North Smithfield it had formerly been located?
No,
Probably the
Fogarty.
Fogarty building.
area.
Oh,
The old
Yeah,
Fogarty.
so-
Okay.
But they decided to bring it back across the hospital. They just say it makes it more convenient. So good for them. Huh?
Great.
All right. Let's take a break here in the Coffee and program. More is coming your way, though. And comments and questions can always be called in at 766-1240. And we'll answer them as best we can.
Tomorrow night, April 26th, Johnny Hoy and the Bluefish will be at Chan's Fine Oriental Dining in the Four Seasons Banquet Room, ready for a concert for you at 8 p.m. Tickets are $25 in advance, $30 at the door. The Island Dance Party returns with Martha's Vineyard's best blues band led by Captain Johnny Hoy and the talented Bluefish. Then, on Saturday night, the 28th, Daryl Sherman's homecoming concert with her friends. 8 p.m. in the Four Seasons Dining Room at Chan's. $30 at the door, $25 ahead of time. Jazz songbird Daryl Sherman is born to swing. She left her hometown of Woonsocket for New York City shortly after graduating from URI. And her homecoming is a special treat for this lovely and exceptional singer-pianist who's in the Hall of Fame right here in Little Rhodey. It's Chan's, 267 Main Street, Woonsocket. Don't forget, is great food there, too.
The Coffee and Panel is enjoying coffee from Down East Coffee Roasters. All their coffee is roasted right here in Rhode Island. Down East Coffee Roasters is available at all Little General stores.
Have you heard of Scott McGee with Remax Properties? He's been selling real estate in Rhode Island and Massachusetts for the last 17 years, and you can see that he loves what he does. Scott, as well as his team, take pride in what they call the fair and honest team. No gimmicks. And no, they're not buying your house if it doesn't sell, etc. Just fair and honest real estate. Scott personally works with tons of sellers and buyers and specializes in residential properties as well as commercial, and he's always very fair and offers super competitive rates. Remember, this is probably the biggest move in dollars that you will ever spend or receive. You want to go with a trusted and experienced agent. Scott is fair, honest, and modest, always puts the clients first. And he also dealt with literally almost any situation. You really need to look at your real estate needs as a business. You want to pay and get the right money now so that you're not paying for it later. Trust me. So why not give Scott McGee a call at 401-639-2906. That's 401-639-2906.
It's Coffee In here on ON Radio. Thanks for joining us. Joe Callahan here with Sue Tessier-McKenzie for the Blackstone Valley Call-in-Times. Bob Lauder is here as well. And Sue, time for your first message from the newspaper.
Good morning, all. So we're getting more and more people popping into our office to pick up the papers, do their memorials, and so on and so forth. So it's nice to see customers finally popping in. We are in the process of getting our sign. I'm hoping it would be in even by Friday, by tomorrow. In the meantime, we have a couple of things going on. We have Mother's Day coming, so we do have a contest. The contest is a great one that you register, you sign up online, and you would then be entered to win an overnight stay to Foxwoods, a $100 gift certificate to one of the advertisers of choice, or a $50 gift certificate. So there are 3 different prizes. And then what we do is we get you that gift certificate and present it to you. The drawing will be held on May 11th. Not the drawing because it's all done digitally, but it will be done on May 11th. So enter to win online at www.wonsakicall.com.
All right there, Sue. Well, tough to be on the college campuses this time.
Yeah, I saw that on the news.
And it's always the Ivy League campuses. So Harvard and Columbia and even Brown down in Providence. The kids are setting up tents on their college campuses. Down at Brown, about 80 students set up an encampment. They're not happy, obviously, and they're protesting, and they're all pro-Palestine things, and they want the whole war thing to stop. And now back another good law question then for you, Bob, because Harvard came out and said, they said there was a pro-Palestinian group that was on campus, and they said you guys can't do whatever you were planning to do on campus, and if you do, you're going to get expelled. And I'm thinking, boy, doesn't that run up against freedom of speech?
I would think that the freedom of speech issue, yes. I think the violence part is the issue that is facing a lot of the campuses. And in my time, we're looking back to when I was in school, there was the campus riots and things about the war in Vietnam. And they burned down the ROTC buildings and places like that. So there was violence associated with them. I'm not really sure how the campus demonstrations that are going on right now appear to be based on the fact that the students believe that the administration has invested in companies which are profiting from the war in Israel and Gaza.
That's especially at Brown. Yes.
Okay. I don't know exactly what companies they would be talking about or what the administration can and cannot do. They can certainly sell the stocks they hold in the various companies. If, in fact, they do hold stocks in those companies, there may be a loss associated with that because the immediate sale of the stock may not be as profitable as holding it on for a while longer, and they're going to losing the dividends and things like that. I'm not sure exactly what they're seeking other than to have the protest itself. But if violence is involved, yes, I think they can certainly consider expelling the students over that.
Okay.
I think they are saying that the mere presence of the pro-Palestinian demonstrations may be having a chilling effect on the kids in the schools who are Jewish because of the conflict going between the parties. And I think they'd want to try and protect all of their students, not only the ones who are Jewish, but also the ones who are pro-Palestinian, and try and calm down the interaction between the two groups, which is going to result in trauma to either one of them.
Have you seen where? So did you see this? Where the rabbi in New York City was telling the Jewish students at Columbia to go home because the campus is not safe for you guys.
I heard something about that, but I didn't really focus on it enough to give an opinion.
Okay.
But it's sad that that would be the case.
Yes, and I think he was reaching out to the parents of the students too, and say bring your kids home, because Columbia is not the place to be right now because of the violence that's perpetrating. Now the problem is, most of the protesters are the peaceful kind. It's just that, and then there's the paid agitators that just show up to create chaos and mayhem and more violence.
I think that's true in almost any demonstration for any particular.
All right. Strange times we live in, huh?
I know. You would think, you go to college, Well,
that's the other thing. When I went to college, I didn't have time to. Not that we protested then, because there was nothing to protest in the 80s.
Right.
But I'm like, I wouldn't have time to go get a tent and set up an encampment and not go to class and not study. Especially this time of year, finals are coming.
Right. Well, exactly. That's the sad part. I mean, at the end of the day, there needs to be accountability. I've said that before about numerous circumstances, whether it's somebody stealing something or an accident, whatever. There has to be accountability. If there's no accountability, they're just going to continue.
Well, emotions can run very high on political issues.
Yes.
We all one of us remembers back in 1968 the protests that were against the Vietnam War at Kent State College, a university in Ohio, and the governor called in the National Guard. And the National Guard reacted, and a couple of kids were shot and killed. So, and there's a lot of emotion that goes along with these protests.
You're right.
And in the 1960s, with the Vietnam War protests, there were very few students who were actually protesting the other side and saying the government was right in being involved in Vietnam. So it was just a one-sided protest and still had a lot of emotion with it.
Okay. It was a few years ago, and I think it was when Donald Trump was elected president. In some of the college campuses, the students went to their professors and say, "We're so distraught that we just can't study and can we postpone the test to later on?" And some of the professors did.
Wow.
I remember, when I was in law school in 1969 through 72, in the summer, I believe it was 1970, when they were having a lot of the protests on the Vietnam War, they actually postponed the exams from being in May of that year until September, when you came back from summer vacation.
How did that work out?
Right.
It
worked out okay?
I would guess it worked out okay. I don't think it made a whole lot of difference in my particular grades. It was just, you had the summer off. Theoretically, you could have studied a whole lot during the summertime and tried to become smarter.
And I'm sure you did.
And probably most of us just took the summer off and did what most of us do in the summer.
Went to the beach or got a job and got some money.
Right.
Wow. Okay. No. But yeah, it was that. It's actually not. It wasn't a college thing. It was up to each individual teacher whether or not they wanted to postpone postpone the test or cancel the test.
Right.
And then there were some that said, don't be such a baby and grow up, and we're having a test on the exact same day, kind of thing. So, bad stuff. Bad things happen in your life. You gotta deal with it.
You have to learn, but that's part of the problem in today's society. You
don't have to learn from it.
It's right. I mean, when we were kids and got in trouble in school, for example, my mother went to the school to find out what went on. My mother did not think we were right.
Right.
She walked in to get the story in front of both of us, teacher and student, and it was discussed. It wasn't today. Parents walked in, guns blazing,
And my child
to my child's
innocent.
perfect and
Yeah.
my child and that's not the proper approach, because now what are you teaching your child? So that's where the accountability. So my mother didn't go in thinking the teacher was wrong and my child's perfect.
Did
Yeah.
your mother give you the Miranda rights before she asked what was going on?
No, but she carried a ruler in her back pocket.
Okay, that's a little bit different. You know.
Well, I was of that ilk too. And boy, if my parents went to the school, I knew they were going to side with the teacher.
With the
They were
teacher.
going to side with the adults, not with not with the
And
child.
my
so-
mother was, and that's why with my children, I do pay attention to both situations. And in the back of my head, I'm saying, okay, you're wrong, kid. What did you do?
Yeah.
But I'm not going to be accusatory either. And this gentle parenting stuff.
Now, what were your parents going to school for to discuss your transgressions? You want
I
to
was-
elucidate any
you
of that?
know, I was a wonderful child.
A wonderful
My
child.
parents never had to go to the school to talk to the principal about my attitude or my behavior.
Now, do you think we should bring out the lie detector test?
Right?
I would pass that with flying colors.
You know what my favorite was, and I think I might have mentioned this a few weeks ago. So, I wasn't a perfect child. I wasn't, I'm a common sense smart, not so much book smart. So, you get a failing grade, and mom has to sign whatever, or
Yeah,
dad has to sign. Of course, I'd go to dad, and dad would do it, and there was no conversation. But mom, there was conversation.
Oh, sure.
I took a paper, 26 lines on that paper, and I mastered my mother's signature better and better with each line. And
See,
then my
girls could
mother,
do that. That's a-
well, my
that's a
mother
girl thing.
found it though. My mother
Oh.
found it, and she
Why are you doing
took
this?
that and went to the school to say, I would like to know why my daughter needed to do this.
Yeah.
Can you please pull up
Pull out a
everything
few
that you
papers.
have my signature on?
Whoa!
I didn't sign this. I didn't sign this. I didn't sign this. Oh my
So,
gosh. That is
Have
funny.
you escaped from detention yet, or has it gone on for years and years?
Well, I now, as an adult, my mother's like, "Yep, didn't think you had it in you," for a lot of things, because it's back then there wasn't much conversation about book smarts versus common sense smarts. Back then, it was you needed to be book smart, but book smart doesn't buy common sense, and without the common sense, that book smart, I mean, really. I told my daughter one day, I'm going to make hot deviled eggs for Thanksgiving. Would you take those 6 eggs, fill the pan with water, and put the eggs in, put it on the stove? She freaking cracked them. She freaking cracked them all and threw it in the water. So, but she was, honor roll, Rhode Island honor roll. She was, all of that. But she cracked those eggs and put them in the water.
All right, that's funny.
That's just a small example of book smarts versus common sense. I have one of each.
I saw a comedian, and I can't remember her name. She is Southern, and she talked about how in their community, when someone passes away, you make food and bring it over to the family.
Yeah.
Well, someone died, and she was famous for was making pound cake. All right, homemade pound cake, but she didn't have the ingredients for it. So she made a list for her husband to go get the ingredients. And the whole point of this was why you shouldn't send your husband to the grocery store, because she made the mistake of making the list, but she numbered every list. So he saw it as, one pound of butter, but 2 pounds of lard. Number 2 was
Oh.
a pound of lard, but he got 2 pounds. And then it was 3 bottles of this, and 4.
Oh, my.
Talk about hysterically funny.
Oh my gosh! And I love comedians like that.
And she said, my husband's got a master's degree
Yeah.
from the University of North Carolina.
No, the guy is smarter than you think because he has never been sent to
Well,
the
that's
store
true.
again.
But he didn't
And you-
realize his mistake until he was at the checkout counter, and then he wasn't bringing everything back, so he just bought it all and brought it home.
No. He did this on purpose.
No, he did
It
not.
was
No,
a
he did. I
wise
don't believe
man.
that.
No,
I
he
don't
did
believe
not.
that for a minute.
This is like making
he was
sure that
reading-
early in the marriage you break some of the dishes when you're putting them into the dishwasher.
No.
You're never asked to do it again.
He was
yes.
he was doing it literally. You want
Yep, that was. I'm
and
with
her
you
to
on
say
that.
it with the
I'm with
Southern
you on
accent
that,
was
Joe.
so-
Bob, you lose that one.
was so funny.
No.
All right, we're going to take a break here on the Coffee and program. Time for a look at the forecast, which is being brought to you by Allstate Insurance.
Sunny skies today with a high of 55 degrees and a breeze from the north. Tonight, clear skies, low of 27. Friday's weather, sunshine and 59. Saturday, sunshine and 63. On Sunday, cloudy skies, a slight chance of a shower, high of 64. Monday, sunshine and 75. Tuesday, mostly cloudy skies and 73. And next Wednesday, partly sunny and 72.
Currently outside the Navigate Credit Union broadcast studio at the corner of Park Ave and Kennedy Street, we have sunny skies and 43 degrees. Some people just know the best rate for you is a rate based on you with Allstate, not one based on anyone else. Visit allstate.com or call for a quote today. This segment of Coffee has been sponsored by the Blackstone Valley Call-in Times.
You've heard it before. The world is getting smaller. Places you had to travel to years ago now seem right next door. It's no surprise, then, that all the communities of the Blackstone Valley have so much in common these days that we share common interests. Keeping up with this trend, the Blackstone Valley's 2 daily newspapers, The Call and The Times, have joined forces to cover the entire valley in one convenient newspaper. The Blackstone Valley's Call and Times, a paper for the entire valley. At your local store, honor box, or home delivery, 767-8522. Krakow Deli Bakery Smokehouse offers authentic homemade Polish food to make your next meal special. Try our many varieties of hot and fresh pierogies with onions and what they call dirty sour cream. Or pick up golubki, kielbasa, babkas, or some fresh rye bread. We also offer a large selection of specialty and imported foods. Open Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Fridays, 9 in the morning till 6 p.m., Wednesdays, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m., Saturdays from 8 to 5 p.m. It's Krakow Deli Bakery Smokehouse. Follow us on Facebook and learn about our weekly specials. Located at 855 Social Street, Woonsocket, Krakow Deli Bakery Smokehouse has all the authentic Polish foods you love.
Hi, I'm Kathy LaValle at The Honey Shop. Check out our Facebook page at The Honey Shop RI, and there you'll see a whole list of our new classes and lots of fun things to do. You could join us for making limoncello, pizzas, pasta making, cheese making, so many fun things to do and learn.
Thanks, Kathy. Folks, if you love food, you'll love The Honey Shop, right behind the Dunkin' Donuts at Park Square in Woonsocket.
It is Coffee and here on ON Radio. Thanks for joining us. This is Joe Callahan here with Sue Tesser McKenzie and Bob Lauder. And Bob, time for first message from your law office, please.
Good morning. Thank you. This is Attorney Bob Lauder. The annual senior fair, which ON held on Saturday at the Elks Hall, made me aware of the need to reiterate some of my former advice concerning estate planning. During our lifetimes, most of us have accumulated assets. Some assets may be of financial significance, and some may be of a more personal nature. Someday, each one of us will no longer be here to administer or enjoy those assets. It's prudent for all of us to realize the finality of life and to make provisions for the distribution of our assets following our deaths. For married couples, this may be as easy as owning property in joint tenancy with right of survivorship. But for most of us, joint tenancy is not the final answer. For upon the death of the second individual, the property in the absence of a testamentary directive, that is, a last will and testament, may eventually devolve to the heirs of the deceased, and this distribution may not be what the owner desired. Let me provide an example. A couple marry, but prior to the marriage, one of the parties had a child. The couple raised the child together, and the child considers both parties to be its parents. The couple title their assets to themselves jointly. One night, the couple are involved in a terrible car crash. One of the parties dies immediately at the scene. The other party dies in the hospital 2 days later. The jointly held assets of the first to die will automatically pass to the one who lived the 2 days longer. But if the one who died first is the parent of that child, in the absence of a last will and testament, all of the jointly held assets of the couple will pass to the heirs at law of the non-parental individual, and the child will receive none of the assets of its parent. This may not be the distribution which the couple desired. While this is a controlled situation and may not arise in many families, it's an illustration of the problems which can occur in the absence of testamentary planning. I sincerely suggest that it's in the best interest of all individuals, whether or not presently encumbered with vast financial assets, to consult with an attorney to learn the benefits of preparing a valid last will and testament. If you'd like to discuss legal matters with me, please contact my office for an appointment. My name is Bob Lauder. My telephone number is 762-4550. And the disclaimer: the Supreme Court of Rhode Island licenses all attorneys in the general practice of law. The court does not license or certify any attorney as an expert or specialist in any field of practice. Thank you.
All right there, Bob. Well, that's a tough one. You know,
Yeah,
person
right?
die in 2 hours or 2 days apart from each other, and
Well,
where does the assets go to?
I can tell
right,
you
but what are the odds, and a question for you, Bob, what are the odds that somebody would be disputing, like, oh, wait a minute, my father died first.
First,
What?
yeah.
I mean, how does that come into
When you have families, you won't believe the things they will dispute and fight over.
Oh, I'm sure.
Wow.
Yes.
Yeah, that's sad.
Yeah, we've had some very strange ones. And we recently did a situation where, because 3 words were missing out of a deed, we had to probate an entire estate. And the 3 words missing were as joint tenants.
Wow.
Wow.
Man and woman purchased a piece of property. It said property is being sold to John Smith and Jane Smith, but it didn't say as joint tenants. One died, and the other one did not automatically inherit the house. We had to go to probate court in
Wow.
order to
Imagine
have
that.
that take place. And that's unfortunate because, of course, probate takes time.
You know, it's funny because my mom has some beautiful rings, you know, her wedding band and her wedding ring, so on and so forth. And she always said, she'd put her hands out and she'd say, that one's for Denise, that one's for Donald, that one's for you, that one's... Now, my mom's still alive, and she had lost some weight, so her rings were no longer staying on her hand. So she gave them to us now.
Good.
Which is the one I'm wearing now, you know, so now I get to wear it while she can still see it.
Yeah.
But even so, there never would have been an argument. If my sister would have said, I want that ring, I would say, okay. That's just me. But she decided which one she liked ahead of time, and so I got the other one, which I'm not complaining about this ring. But it's sad that families get like that.
It's not as unusual as you might think.
No, I
And
know
your
it's
mother
not.
raised good kids.
It's-
who get
we
along
would
with each
never,
other, but-
ever argue. I always told her my brother Donald's her favorite. I'm okay with that. You know, we just joke about that, and it was always okay. We never felt unloved, put it that way.
All right. I don't want to say, Bob, that I didn't get in trouble in school.
That's what we thought.
And I can remember. Well, I can remember 2 instances, and we got to go all the way back to kindergarten. Now, I was kindergarten. Yes, got in trouble in kindergarten, and this is why.
golly.
My growth spurt happened early, so I was taller than a lot of the kids. Not that you're very tall in kindergarten, but as we're walking down the hall, in the hallway was the fire alarm, and some kids couldn't reach it. Well, I could, but I knew from an early age, if you touch it, you're okay. You just don't pull it. That sets off the alarm. But I was being, Joe, can you reach it? Yeah. And I reached up and I touched the fire alarm. Well, the teacher saw me touch the fire alarm. She freaked out.
Oh,
Now, the alarm didn't go off, but, you never touch. I missed recess or whatever I had to miss that day. So I got in trouble there.
But his mom didn't have to
Yeah.
go to school.
No, she didn't have to go in to get
she
me,
didn't have to
so-
go in.
And my first grade teacher got mad at me because I was writing on the floor.
Writing on the floor.
You know, you had the squares.
Yeah,
On
I
the
know the
school.
squares.
So I
They
was
look
ri- I
like
was-
puzzles.
I was writing letters,
Oh.
like A and B, and But I was in the back of the room, and I would have got away with it. But the kid sitting next to me ratted me out.
Oh God.
So she
This
so
sounds like the start of a
But
very,
the
very
teacher
criminal life.
Right.
the teacher put me in the corner of the room to stand there for a little while. But that's where the water bubbler was. Woohoo.
Right. Go
Water.
stand next to the bubbler.
Okay, that's what you want. We did that.
You
on
are Rhode Islanders when you refer to it that way, too. You know?
water,
Right.
water fountain.
Yeah.
All right, we did get a note that was called in 766-1240 about the protest on the college campuses. These college students may have the right to do so, protest that is. However, they don't realize the reality of this conflict. Maybe they don't. They can believe whatever they want, but to miss class is just irresponsible.
Well, accountability. Back to
accountability, yeah.
Absolutely. That's the accountability. Is you're missing class, and if you choose to do so, there has to be consequences for it.
You may fail.
Right.
And if you fail, you can't go running to the administration. Well, I was protesting, so
Right.
I should get
Exactly.
special dispensation and I should pass, kind of thing. Unfortunately, the college might agree with the students. on
Which is
these
sad.
days, which it is. So, all right,
I
another.
think the biggest problem
yeah?
would be going home and letting your parents know that you had failed something.
Well, you
there-
don't have to let your parents know because you're a college student, and it's up to the student to tell their parents whatever they want to tell them.
Okay. Now, Jocelyn's going off to college.
Yes.
Are you expecting that she's going to tell you good things about her being in college? She's not going to come home and say to you, "Hey, Dad, I flunked biology and I'm going to be thrown out of school.
I'll
and
do
all
what
your
I-
tuition money is wasted."
I'll do what I did with my son. How are things last semester? Did you pass? And if he wants to embellish, oh yeah, A in this, A in that, B in this, okay, fine. If he says, oh yeah, I passed all my classes and doesn't say anything else, okay. Did you flunk? No. Okay, everything's good. You don't have to tell me what your grades were. You still in school? They haven't thrown you out? Yes. Then okay, everything's fine.
What's your opinion, Bob?
Well, I
wanted a
have two opinions.
detailed?
One opinion is when my daughter was going to college, it was probably Joe's attitude. And when I was going to college, my parents were a little bit more concerned about actual facts.
They wanted to see it.
Yeah, they wanted to make sure that it wasn't entirely wasted.
Okay. Well, things have changed a little bit, I guess.
I know.
Anyway, other things going on. So the if you remember the police officer in Pawtucket back in 2021, where he was off duty and he shot at those kids.
Yep.
Down in West Greenwich. Okay.
Yep.
The criminal part of that, he was found not guilty on felony assault, but he did resign from the police force last November. Now he's facing a civil rights suit from the person that he hit, and the suit seeks $4 million in damages for physical injury and emotional distress
Which
because
one-
of his actions.
And that's pertaining to that incident, the shooting?
The
Or
shooting.
was there, for some
Because he
reason,
hit somebody.
Well, and I say that because last night on the news I saw something where a guy had stitches in his forehead, also involving a police officer. So I just got a little bit confused where he's getting some time. He's got to do jail time
Okay.
for that assault. So I just got the two mixed up.
Yeah, he's not the cop here, the former cop. He's not getting any jail time
Yeah.
because he was found not guilty in the criminal suit. But the driver of the car, and they were teenagers back in 2021. They're all adults now. But the driver was wounded in this shooting. So now, do you think they have a good case there, Bob, for a civil rights suit? And is $4 million a lot? Do you think they might get that?
I don't know what they will get.
Okay.
I'm surprised that they haven't also included the police department in their claim.
I'm
because-
sorry, they are.
Oh, right.
Yeah,
Okay.
they filed against the city of Pawtucket
Okay.
and the police officer.
All right. Because I would imagine they're going to be alleging that the city failed to properly train the police officer so that he would be more reluctant to take the kind of action he did. The $4 million, I would imagine that they're going to try and bring in evidence from psychologists that are going to say, okay, the child of the individual had this kind of permanent damage and permanent scarring emotionally from this kind of an incident, because anybody who's been shot, I would imagine, is going to have more psychological problems than someone who doesn't. So they may be able to establish that, yeah.
And they don't say what the actual physical injury was, just that the driver was wounded. I don't know if they've gotten any long-term physical situation
Right.
from the shooting, like a I don't know, bad arm now, or they got to use a cane.
Yeah, but if
whatever.
you could even have a scar,
And that's enough.
and that's because it's there forever.
Mm-hmm.
I saw that in a different kind of case. They had a scar and it was ugly and
Mm-hmm.
yada yada.
Okay. Well, this will take years to come to an end, don't you think, Bob?
Oh yes.
Yeah. Years and years. So okay.
Well, there's a lot that goes on in the actual preparation. You bring the case and you file a complaint against the defendant.
Mm-hmm.
The defendant has an opportunity in which to answer that.
Mm-hmm.
That's usually about 20 days in most cases. The defendant has the right to file interrogatories and ask for discovery from the other side. That's going to take a period of time to create and then to make responses to it. You're going to probably have disputes in court over the extent of the requested discovery and then what has actually been produced. Did they produce everything you're looking for? And then they have the right to take into depositions, which are opportunities where you bring the various parties into a lawyer's office in the presence of a court stenographer, have everything taken down, it be under oath and can be used later. There's a lot that goes into it. And then when you say, well, the courts aren't doing very much, there's a lot of cases. And so a case that's filed today, there's other cases in line to get
Right.
heard as well. So you just fall into line behind the others.
Okay. Bob's going to get to court, so we got to let him go. So it's time for one more message from your law office, and then you can off to court you go, Bob.
Thank you very much. Thanks. Attorney Bob Lauder. A few minutes ago, I suggested that it's prudent for all individuals to consider creating a valid last will and testament to provide for the distribution of assets after the death of the owner. Frequently, when people talk to me, they ask about trusts and whether or not they should consider the creation of a trust. There are several kinds of trusts. There are irrevocable, those which are virtually written in stone and are unchangeable, and there are revocable, where the settlor, that is the individual or individuals who created the trust, have the right to make changes in the future. Whether one chooses to establish an irrevocable or a revocable trust depends a lot upon the circumstances of the individual creating the document. In any event, a trust is an instrument which is crafted for the purpose of providing for the administration of those assets titled to the trust immediately upon the execution of the document, and providing for that administration in the event of future mental incapacity of the settlor, without the need for seeking probate administration, and providing for the distribution of those assets to named beneficiaries, again without the need for probate administration. A trust is a means of avoiding probate administration for those assets titled to the trust, of keeping the identity of the assets confidential, and preventing those assets from becoming available to creditors upon one's death. Anyone considering the establishment of a last will and testament should also discuss with the attorney whether or not in addition to the will, a trust may be appropriate to facilitate the non-probate administration and distribution of assets following one's death. If you'd like to discuss legal matters with me, please call my office for an appointment. My name is Bob Lauder. My telephone number is 762-4550. The disclaimer: the Supreme Court of Rhode Island licenses all attorneys in the general practice of law. The court does not license or certify any attorney as an expert or specialist in any field of practice. And, Diana, it was great to see you on Saturday, and there's no mention of that little clock. Thanks.
All right, Bob. Good luck in court today.
Thank you.
All right. More Coffee Hands coming up. Stay tuned.
You know, when you're paying the right price for protection, you just know it. It's that warm, fuzzy, totally secure feeling, knowing that you're not only getting great coverage, but you're also not paying too much for it. And when it comes to your insurance, there's no one better at getting the right price for your protection than Allstate agents Kara and Celeste Benjamin, because they know when it comes to your bank account, every penny counts towards something bigger, something better. Like a nicer car, that home update you've been dreaming of, or a phone that's fresh out of the box. Those little or big things that we work so hard for. And Kara and Celeste Benjamin want to help you work a little less by getting you the coverage you need and the savings you deserve when you switch to Allstate. Contact Kara and Celeste Benjamin at the Benjamin Agency. One agency, 2 locations in North Smithfield and Bellingham. 765-5000 for a free quote today. Allstate, you're in good hands. And you're in good hands with Kara and Celeste Benjamin at the Benjamin Agency. Savings vary based on the average annual savings reported by new auto customers surveyed in 2019 who switched to Allstate.
Hello, my name is Paul Lavalley, and I'm from the Woonsocket Council Knights of Columbus. We are sponsoring a scholarship fund raffle tickets that'll benefit the Woonsocket Catholic School Regional School System. There are only 100 tickets being sold. They are $50 each. The first prize is $1,200. The second prize is $500. The third prize is $300. You can contact any Knight of Columbus or myself at 401-651-5533 to purchase tickets. Thank you.
It's Coffee In here on ON Radio. Nice of you to join us. Joe Callahan here, along with Sue Tester McKenzie. Bob Lauder had to go, and just take a look at some of the other things going on in the news. According to the CDC, Center for Disease Control, teen births in the United States are at a record low.
Yeah, I believe that.
Now, this is going to sound high, though. In 2023, 3.5 million teen births were recorded. Seems like a lot.
That does
But
seem like a lot, but
that's down 2% from the year before. And it does follow a general decline in teen births over the last 10 years.
that's crazy because
So
they have
good.
these shows now,
Oh, Teen Mom.
Teen Mom and all that.
Yeah.
Hey, maybe, the realities of what's involved in the whole having a child
Yeah.
is hitting people, and there's so much emphasis on, waiting till 30, waiting to have a child, or waiting to get married, or waiting to, buy a house, or whatever the case is. I mean, maybe it's sinking in.
Maybe. CDC says reasons for the decline in teen pregnancy are unclear, but the evidence, like you said, suggests more teens may be using birth control
Yep.
or just abstaining.
Right, because it's all in the my son. Not only did he wait till 30, but the day he turned 30 was when his son was born, on his birthday.
Now, that's good. That's good planning right there.
On his birthday. How do you do that?
I don't know. That's good. So, well, I'm glad to see it's on the decline. So that's a good thing.
Absolutely.
All right. Let's see. Other things going on. Where did I see this one? What would you think, Sue? Which state still has the most landlines from phone service? Do you still have a landline?
No.
Neither do I. So what do
I
you
wouldn't
think?
know what state,
Yeah.
but it's obviously one with an older population.
All right. New York State.
Really?
New York State leads the charge in keeping their landline phones. A new survey by the Chamber of Commerce shows New York State leads the country in percentage of landline phones, with the National Center of Health Statistics reporting that over 52% of New Yorkers say they still own a fixed line phone.
Wow.
Over 50%. New Jersey comes in a close second. As the study concluded, the population in these states is a bit older. Like you said, you're always thinking, Sue.
Hey, listen.
Than the rest of the country.
That comes back to the common sense issue, okay?
Seniors
I didn't need statistics for this answer.
and seniors are most likely to keep a landline in their phone because that's what they're used to.
Yep.
And
My mom has one.
still?
Yeah.
Does she have a cell?
Yeah. She
Oh,
loses
okay.
it all the time,
This
but
is
she has a
But the landline is always on the wall.
always there.
It never goes. It's always there. And it's funny listening. We run our old time radio programs, radio dramas and comedies from the 40s and 50s, and it has something to do with Superman. And he needs to. There's a phone call from him. He goes, "Well, I can't get to the phone." And that was the way it was.
Yeah, exactly.
You had to get up and go to the phone.
Yep.
I said, "Oh, that ages it right there. You don't. That's not now. It's bring the phone to me."
Yeah, bring me the phone.
I got to call it. Well, hang on. I'll bring. Someone's calling for you on my phone, so I'll bring the phone to you.
Well, when I was in the limo business, okay, I was working in a garage out of Hopedale to take care of my cars, clean them and so on and so forth. And I will never forget calling. At the time, it was Verizon. And yes, we had landlines then. I started my business in 1992, and I will never forget calling Verizon. You're not even going to believe what I asked them for, and they were like, "That is unheard of." Okay. I said, "What I need is a headset type thing, like operators used to use,
yeah.
right? but I need to my hip
To plug it into
so I
your
can
phone.
push a button on my
Yeah.
hip if my phone rings.
All
Oh,
right.
no, we don't have anything like that. What do they have now?
Oh,
I
they-
could have created that damn thing.
That's right. You could have made a
All
lot
right.
of money.
I could have created it. They
Now
thought
they
I
walk
was
around
insane.
now they walk around with the earbuds, and it does the exact
I
same
walked
thing.
into Radio Shack, asked them, and come on, this
And
was
they
only
didn't-
1992 for
And they
God's
didn't know
sake.
what you were talking about.
Oh,
huh?
they looked at me like I had 3 heads. Can you believe that?
You had the idea.
I had the idea.
Someone wrote that down and said, "Hey, we're gonna have to create this.
We're
this
going to have to look into this.
this will make us some money. This is
Yeah.
a good idea." And then it was just a few years later. I remember
It
seeing
was
people,
literally a few years later.
yeah, walking around the mall, talking to themselves
With
but they,
that thing.
That's right, but they weren't talking to themselves. They were on their phones. I'm
Yep.
like, wow. And you had the first idea for it.
I'm telling you.
This is what I
I
need. This
called-
is what I could use.
At the
And they're
time,
like,
it was Verizon,
That's so
and
funny.
I called them. I said, "I need this. I'm trying to take care of business." Our son was just
Yeah.
a baby then. So that was 30 years ago. So there, between 25 and 30
Yeah.
years ago is when that time frame was. And I said, I got I'm in an airport runway
Yeah.
in Hopedale. My son's in that thing that I guess they're now banned because they used to run with the little wheels on them.
He might fall over.
And I'm trying to answer my phone, clean the limo, take care of my son,
Yeah.
and I need this.
I need a headset.
Yeah, okay, you're crazy.
Yeah, that's not gonna happen. We don't.
Right?
Sorry, man. We don't have that.
Can you imagine?
That is so funny. Did you go down to Best Buy and see if that? Well, you said you tried Radio Shack.
I did. Yeah.
And
Hello. 30
Radio
years
Shack
ago.
had everything.
It was Radio Shack. I said, "This is what I need," and they literally are looking at me like I'm crazy.
Like, yeah, no.
How crazy was I?
sorry, lady.
That's unheard of.
That's funny. Let's see. A woman from New Jersey is getting a second chance at life thanks to surgeons at the NYU hospital. 54-year-old Lisa Pisano suffered from extreme kidney and heart failure, couldn't get a traditional transplant. Earlier this month, Pisano got the first ever combined implant of a heart pump and a genetically modified pig kidney.
You questioned me
Did I?
maybe a year ago,
All right.
asking me what I thought of testing pig organs in a clinically deceased person. So there it is.
That's
there.
right. Doctors describe the kidney function so far as perfect. Doctors also say she still faces plenty of rehab and add they can't put a specific time frame on her survivability.
But if she was willing to
Give it a shot.
do the testing and do the, I mean, what were your options now? Boom or boom,
Well, it's your option is either die
yeah, well, that's what I'm saying.
because we can't find the traditional transplant, or we got this thing. It's you want to try the modified pig kidney.
Right.
It may work,
Yeah,
and if it does, it's going to give you a few more years of life.
right. And if
Let's-
it doesn't,
let's
you're
give
in
it
the
a
same
shot.
place you were
That's
before
right.
we did it.
So why not? So why not try it?
Yep.
All right, so that's so she's doing so far. Like they said, everything's working perfect, and it hasn't rejected yet. So that's good news there, right?
Yep.
I thought this was cool. I don't know if you heard the story, but at George Washington's home in Mount Vernon,
Yeah.
Virginia, they pulled up some of the flooring, and they found 2 bottles, perfectly still sealed, filled with cherries.
No kidding.
Yep, and it was under a brick floor, and they said the brick floor was laid in the 1770s.
Wow.
It's been there for 300 years,
Wow.
and they don't say what they're going to do with it. Are we going to sell it? Are we just
Yeah,
do we
put
just
it up
leave it
for
with
auction,
the property?
put
Do
it
we
in
put
a
up for
museum.
auction?
Well, if there's 2, sell one and put the other one in a museum.
Well, I asked the question yesterday to the Coffee and panel. What if you were allowed? Hey, Sue, you want to try one of these 300-year-old cherries that have been under this brick floor for so long? Would you try one?
That would be an absolutely not.
No.
No.
So yesterday they were all like, "Oh yeah, we'll give it a shot."
I would not. I'm not. I like, because with those cherries, I'm going to ask you a dumb question. Did they turn into maraschino cherries, or however way you say that?
Right.
Or were they still looking like cherries off the tree?
Tough to tell because the bottles are made out of dark green glass.
Oh, then God, no.
So they're just
no.
looking it up to the sun and say, well, they look like cherries in here.
No, put that on. What was that show? Not Survivor, but the show that you ate weird things and you moved.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I'm
yeah.
talking about. Because if it's you can't even see what they look like, then no.
Well, they must be able to see through it a little. Okay, they're small and they're round and there's stems on it, and
Yeah, no, but I wouldn't.
so they're cherries. But
I would need to see them.
see, it's like I'm not a real cherry person anyway. So asking me to try one,
I'm a raw cherry. I mean, I like
No, thank
raw
you.
cherries. Yes,
Yeah.
I do. But no.
All right, that'll do it for the show for today. Thank you very much. So we're 1 for 1 on the cherries.
All right.
All right. Thanks to Bob Lotter, who came in, had to leave a little early today. Sue Tessie McKenzie, thanks for coming in.
No problem. Have a great rest of the week.
All right. This is Joe Callahan. Have yourself a great day today. And stay tuned for Senior Scene. And then it's Do You Remember next on ON Radio.
Broadcasting live and local daily from the Navigant Credit Union broadcast studio at the corner of Park Avenue and Kennedy Street. This is WOON Woonsocket Radio. And now, the news. Brown University has warned student protesters